Now, another question for you is, how has the impact investing ecosystem evolved in India over the past few years? Since you mentioned two, three times about pre-COVID and post-COVID, I would love to hear you what has been the changes and how is that evolved in the last few years, and what are the changes pre and post?
No, thank you very much. Again, this is a very interesting and I think hot topic right now going around in the impact investors and in largely the investors community. I think given that now, if you look at it, how the era has been evolving, we are still in the evolution. A lot of emphasis has been coming on in last few years and more particularly in last 2-3 years towards the ESG framework. And India is still at a nascent stage. I think all of us as an investors have started talking about the language on having the view on the ESG compliances. Companies are still struggling, scratching it, that what they need to do. So, and it is quite critical. I think if you are able to have the some of these ESG angles being implemented into the companies, which includes either the climate angles, carbon footprints reductions, and some of those, then your cost to capital or the cost of financing can also come down significantly in some of these companies and some of these models. But I think, as I was touching already earlier, that we in India are seeing an evolution. Are we there yet? In my sense, no, not yet. But I think the Indian industry from both sides, from an entrepreneur business model side, as well as from an investor side, both, it has evolved quite a lot and continues to make the right noise, as well as putting the right steps into the right direction in order to show what has been the impact. I think you were presenting with Shwa on your own slides that what has been the dollar impact being created, what has been the outreach from some of these the impact capital. And I think those are the initial steps being taken in that direction. I think the real success would really come out when we as a country are able to demonstrate how we as the India as a country, impact investors as a community and entrepreneurs have been able to meet these UNSDG goals. If we are really targeting $30 trillion as an economy by 2030, how are we taking these steps forward towards it in terms of reaching those numbers, defining these into the small broken steps which we can reach. Anurag touched upon this from an integrity ethics perspective. We keep on hearing from some of these big listed institutions how, because of the integrities, because of the transparency, things starts to fall flat. I think which is where it is very, very important that how are we putting the fundamentals in place, and we as a nation, as a country, have to still achieve a lot. Steps have been put into the right direction, and I think still a lot needs to be done. Coming to your comment on from a pre-COVID or a post-COVID perspective, I will even spread that era, given we are a financial services investor, and I will take a minute more on this. If you really look at it from an MFI perspective, I'm sure there are a lot of practitioners here. Look at it, what was happening during AP crisis in 2010 versus where the industry is today. Industry is far more resilient, far more strong. Anurag talked about 200,000 crores rupees into the microfinance sector itself. So if you look at it, what the AP crisis did really made the sector more resilient, more strong. But what went into it was fixing the nuts and bolts of the industry. Earlier, the rules of the games were defined, but everybody was playing the game as they wanted to play. I think what is important is here as a community on both sides, understanding the relevance that why these are important. I think we as an impact investors keep on emphasizing it. And sometimes some of these gets diluted as the companies gets large, as the private equities and others comes to the play. It is very, very important that we keep the right balance in terms of looking at the outcomes, what has been it for, and that's when the journey becomes meaningful.